Hey guys, welcome back to the Musings of Maverick channel. Maverick here, ready for another episode of the Doctor of the Stones. So last episode we had a brief detour, I guess you could say. We met the quote-unquote adorable Sophie-chan, and we got some rare materials in order to further along our roadmap of chemistry, right? And so, in this episode, we are going to be doing some more chemistry, and if my memory serves me correct, we're probably also going to be entering the actual tournament arc, right? Now, for me personally, this series, Dr. Stone itself, only really begins after the tournament arc, in a sense. And I say this because, I know of the things to come and whatnot, but that is to say that it's not going to be an enjoyable one. Personally, I'm really looking forward to see how the anime is going to be adapting to fighting scenes, because even though this isn't exactly a series concentrated or focused on action, I want to see how they're going to do it, right? Because, well, more specifically, I hope that they don't, they're not lazy while doing it, right? And just animating some keyframes from within the manga. This is an anime form, go ham on it, right? So, without further ado, let's just look into the episode and see how it's gonna go. Alright, let's begin in 3, 2, 1, play. Well, I'm not kidding in regards to it starting from after the tournament arc, by the way. Look at those legs, Kohaka-chan. Get it, dase! Mad Scientist Senku. Alright, let me skip this real quick. I'll see you guys in a second. The Masked Warrior. Still something that I would probably get in high school chemistry class. Now this, yeah. Probably not using something like this in your high school chemistry class. Definitely not something that you find in your high school chemistry class. Ammonia. I love how they do it directly in front of Kohaku. It's a little bit different from the manga, but eh. This is also a little bit different. In the manga, they were like much more surprised that the tournament was so close and that they didn't have enough time to train anymore. Checkmate! And never said anything about not... Yep. That's not rigging the game. Come on. Come on. For the greater good. Wow. They're letting Kohaku say this line. Okay. In the manga, it was a pure monologue by Senku. The whole line, the whole thing. Hey. And this is why I'm saying that this series only really starts after the tournament arc, right? You can't have like that big of a foreshadowing without knowing that, there's some very spicy stuff after everybody settles down. 'See, you can't really say you're gonna rig it if you don't actually rig it. uh,
まあでもほら、僕の顔 川に行かねばならない。卑劣な男だ、マントル貴様。
ふふ。
本人の試合、第3試合までに戻らない場合は失格とする。
うわっくそ、早く戻れ琥珀。
でかしたぞマントル。
ああ、いい、念には念を入れまして。
琥珀が消えた今、俺の敵はいない。グリの夫となる次の長はこのマグマ様で決まった。銀狼、今のうちに俺に貸し付くのなら直属の手下にしてやるぞ。強い男は嫌いじゃない。今ここで皆の前で俺の靴を舐めろ。それをもって証としてやる。マグマ、もし貴様の言葉が真実だろうと俺は降伏などしない。この謀略の御前試合の渦中でも俺は正面から戦うことしかできない男だ。その上、今日の俺はこれまでとは違う。一度も俺に勝ったこともない男が何が違うと言うんだ。俺は仲間のために絶対に勝たねばならない。それでは第一試合、マグマ対
Round 1 fight! Okay, okay.
石でほらね、カチカチ応援してただけですよ。
Whooshu!
マグマが距離を取った。いつも力押しでドーンしかやんないのに。マグマもマジだ。
うん
初めて見んぜ。まずい、間合いを取られると。
ふふ。
勤労が目をグググっと。
おお、次か。無事じゃったか。やっぱ溺れたとか嘘じゃねえか、マントルの野郎。
昨日の目はきっとぼやぼや病なんだよ。スイカがそうだからわかるんだよ。
なんだその月は。浅すぎる。
So he can only fight in close range. Eh.
やべえ、もろにもらった。ダメだ、体が動かん。いや、まだだ。俺には背負うものが。なんだ、どこか。
Go, go, Suika!
まだ粘るか金狼。ますます気に入った。やはり俺の手下になる。
Okay, okay. Thumbs up for this animation. Ooh, right in the face.
教えてやるマグマ科学で目さえ克服すれば俺はとうにお前の力を超える
Well. Okay, okay. I think that was pretty damn acceptable. I'll see you guys after the ending.
And we have finally started the tournament. So, as you guys can see from this episode, for at least this arc, we're not really going to have much science progression. We're currently in the middle of a tournament. We're fighting each other. Of course, they're still going to use some scientific stuff, some sciencey stuff, some scientific methods and whatnot. But for the most part, it's just going to be focused on how to become the winner of the tournament and become, take Ruri's hand and become the next chief of the village. So I'm not going to talk too much there. I don't want to spoil anything. I will say, however, so let's concentrate a little bit more on, the differences between the anime and the manga, right? Because there are quite a few, and it is to be expected, right? Due to pacing issues, due to the flow of an anime, considering that one episode of anime typically adapts like maybe 2 or 3 chapters from the manga, they're gonna have to change up some things. And one thing that I have, I'm kind of disappointed by, but I know it's inevitable, is that they sort of, skip on some of the more epic scenes, the more epic stuff from the manga. And what I'm saying here is that within the manga of Dr. Stone, so at the end of every chapter, we're normally treated to like a page spread of, some really cool poses, or some really cool dialogue and whatnot. It's basically just, the rule of cool, right? They just look badass doing all these different stuff. And because the anime needs to have a progression, keep the progression going, sometimes they can't dwell on it too much. A perfect example here would be the scene where Senku walks into the village for the first time. So, they changed some stuff here. It was originally a monologue by Senku, and then now instead it's Kohaku saying, giving the contextual information. This scene was actually really cool within the manga, and I really liked how they did it there. Here, I feel like it's not quite as epic, right? They tried to do something similar. They tried to change it up a little bit and add a little bit more stuff to make it seem more epic in a way, but I feel like it still kind of missed the mark. And this isn't really a slight on the anime, but it's just the inevitability of an adaptation, right? We're going to have some kind of loss there. If we are talking about some things which the anime can do better than the manga, right? So I like to talk about Ginro's entire sequence at the very end, where he got Suika's helmet, right? So, to be honest, during the entire fight with between Ginro and Magma, I wasn't really too impressed by the animation there, the action scenes there. But that entire ending sequence, right, where he leapt into the air and then put on the helmet and then had a cool pose and whatnot, I felt like that was animated very well, and in fact, it might even have enhanced what the original scene was within the manga. And really, to me, that's the pinnacle of animation, right? You're always going to have some sort of information loss. You can't provide as much information in text form or in still frame form. However, you need to take advantage of your medium, the fact that you are in animation, and do some cool stuff with it, right? So in this case, at least for that ending scene there, they did some cool stuff. But of course, obviously, since I'm saying this is a tournament arc, there's still a bit more to come. I'm not gonna spoil anything. Let's talk a little bit more about the other stuff, right? The stuff where after the tournament arc ends. So if I was going into this blind and I'd never seen Dr. Stone before, I would probably be in this section anyways. I'd probably be dedicating most of the time to to Ruri and, her knowledge of Senku and what she was trying to say, and, who is she, what is this village, and how does this tie into the overall world of Dr. Stone, right? Now, unfortunately, since I have read the manga already, I'm not going to be able to spoil too much. I'm not going to be able to talk too much about this without spoiling anything. I'm just going to say this, though. To me, I mean, I don't know how many of you guys have seen my other videos, or you've only discovered me through Dr. Stone, but I feel like, 13 episodes in, you should probably know by now, I'm not exactly, those hype reactors, in a sense, right? But I will say this, however, when I first read the manga and got to the end of the tournament arc, and when, things settled down and we started learning more about the backstory between everyone, and Ruri started explaining some stuff, that was probably the first time I actually, for the context of the manga, the first time I felt, this author really knows what he's doing. He's put together a very interesting backstory to this entire work, right? And I loved it. And if I were to describe my entertainment levels in regards to this entire series, I believe the chapters, I can't remember the chapter number. I feel like we're on over 100 chapters now. Here's how I feel about the entertainment level for me in regards to this series in manga form, right? So let's say at the beginning, for the first 3 chapters or so, my entertainment level was probably here. And then it kind of dropped a little bit, got a little bit complacent and whatnot. And then after the tournament arc, and the arc after it, my entertainment level was shot up to here, right? To right here. And then as things progressed on, it basically went off the charts, right? And that's why Dr. Stone is one of my favorite mangas from recent memory, from recent years. So yeah. That's why I don't think I'm really exaggerating when I say that, to me, the real story begins after the tournament, because that's when, well, again, I don't want to spoil too much, but that's when, if you thought things were crazy right now with what Senku is doing and with this and all that, it doesn't really hold a light to after the tournament, is what I'm gonna say. So, again, I don't want to overhype this up and then set you guys up for disappointment, but if any of you guys are anime only, yeah, I don't think you'll be disappointed once you learn about the entire backstory, once Ruri starts spilling the beans, if you will. And you guys can feel free to guess as to the entire backstory of Ruri and the village and whatnot, and how it relates to Senku. Anyways, I'm really looking forward to the end of the tournament. It's kind of sad in a way, but even when I was reading the manga, because of course it's following the same chronological timeline, right? So even at that time, I was like, come on, I want to get to the end of the tournament arc already. What does she know? What is this backstory here, right? I was dying to know that. So, and even though I was dying to know that, I wasn't disappointed at the very end on what they actually explained. The scope of the backstory of this is quite brilliant. That's all I can say. It's quite brilliant, and in fact, it might even go deeper than that. Maybe the author actually got all the backstory in his head already, and it wasn't just a case of trying to fit things in as the story goes along. It's not entirely confirmed yet, because we haven't actually, even in the manga, really got to the details of the petrification event and what it represents and whatnot. But I kind of have a feeling that the author really knows what he's doing in terms of setting up the overall backstory, right? So, anyways, that's all I have to say for this episode. Hope you guys enjoyed, and like I said, well, I mean, the tournament arc, I reckon it's still going to take maybe 1 or 2 or 3 more episodes, but then after that, boy, you guys are in for a treat. So, that's my review of Dr. Stone episode 13. I will see you guys next week. Stay tuned. Bye bye.